Welcome into 49ers Access and welcome into Super Bowl weekend. And while you guys get ready for the big game, you have your nachos, your chicken wings, and you're ready to watch the Patriots hopefully beat the Seattle Seahawks, we have more important things to do here on the show because it's a big game. It's the culmination of the entire 2025 season. You crown a new champion. Again, hopefully it's the Patriots because the Seattle Seahawks are big stinkers in my eyes, and I'm sure your eyes as well if you are a Niner fan. But the week leading up to the Super Bowl, if your team is not playing, is maybe one of the more interesting weeks of the NFL season. You obviously have trade deadline week, what player might get moved. You have free agency. You have the draft. But leading into and throughout Super Bowl week, you have Radio Row, where owners, where GMs, where star players, where sports agents, and every other media outlet is there trying to get that one little tidbit of information to let somebody leak something, to hear the rumors circulating around the NFL, what could happen this offseason. And my God, did this Super Bowl week not let us down, because we have Maxx Crosby trade rumors. Could San Francisco be a destination for him? There's talk of San Francisco not trading Mac Jones this offseason. And we have the doozy, Deebo Samuel potentially returning to where it all started. That's right. We have Deebo Samuel rumors of returning to the San Francisco 49ers after a one-year stint with the Washington Commanders. We also have John Lynch, the GM of the San Francisco 49ers, being called out live on television by owner Jed York. Going to get into all that today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It's the big game. It's the big weekend. I don't care about that stuff. The game to me, whatever. I care about everything leading up to this game because there is so much to cover. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. But let's start things off with a positive thing, a really good thing. Christian McCaffrey wins Comeback Player of the Year. Kyle Shanahan somehow finished in last place or fifth in Coach of the Year conversations and voting. That didn't make sense to me. Vrabel won. Okay, he's going to the Super Bowl, fine, but being worst to first shouldn't be the only kind of credential you need to win Coach of the Year. Shanahan did much more with much less throughout the season, but I digress. There are bigger fish to fry because we got some phenomenal news in the form of Niners legendary, game-changing running back Roger Craig finally making it into the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2026. And to show you or tell you exactly how long it's been, Roger Craig is going into the Hall of Fame with the likes of Larry Fitzgerald and Luke Kuechly and a bunch of other guys who retired like half a decade ago. It took Roger Craig 33 years to make it into the Hall of Fame. He changed the way football has been played. And I think, honestly, you can say there maybe is no Christian McCaffrey without a player like Roger Craig. He changed so much the way he was a pass catcher, a runner. He played from 1983 to 1992 with the Niners, Raiders, and Vikings, 123 total games, nearly 2,000 career carries, over 8,000 rushing yards, over 55 touchdowns. He had 566 receptions, nearly 5,000 receiving yards, and 17 total receiving touchdowns. That's 73 total touchdowns altogether from scrimmage and over 13,000 yards from scrimmage. A 3-time Super Bowl champion, a 4-time Pro Bowler, a 1-time first-team All-Pro, and the first player in NFL history with a 1,000-yard season. And I think to celebrate this moment, let's watch Roger Craig learn he's going into the Hall of Fame. What an awesome moment. What a special moment. And when we get into the Deebo Samuel stuff, the Maxx Crosby rumors, Mac Jones conversation, this is how we're going to kick things off. Super Bowl weekend, whatever, for Niner fans, it is Hall of Fame week for that of Roger Craig. Enjoy the video. It's Ronnie Lott, Charles Haley. And watch Roger Craig's face. I'll pause on it for a second, but it is hilarious. but it shows that moment of pure joy of saying my hard work finally paid off here. Ronnie Lott, Charles Haley, and Steve Weiss in the corner take it away here for us on the show.
Welcome to the 2026 Hall of Fame, bro!
Look at that picture. Look at that face. That is an amazing reaction by Roger Craig. You had some trolls out there saying it's what Roger Craig looked like when he fumbled the football in the playoffs for the 49ers, but man, that's a lot of hard work paid off. Obviously celebrating the moment for sure, but that moment right there you can see on your screen. If I can bring it up for us, maybe full screen. That is exactly what you want to see if you are the NFL, of a player who has waited 33 long years. To give you some context, I'm 29 years old. I'll be 30 in November. Roger Craig has been waiting longer to get into the Hall of Fame than I've been alive. It's been that long. I never got to see him play, unfortunately, but I've heard stories from fans. My father, of course. This has been such a point of contention amongst the fan base. Older fans who watch Craig play, maybe those that are younger, but caught the tail end of him with the Raiders and Vikings. But Roger Craig, man, what Bill Walsh and him did with Joe Montana and Jerry Rice and those guys, so impressive, so important. Again, changed the NFL. And that face right there, pure shock, pure joy of like, oh my God, we finally did it. That is what you want to see. We'll continue playing the video here. It's about 12 more seconds, but just awesome moment.
These guys help me out all the time, so being in the Hall of Fame with them, I'm so amazed.
How awesome is that? How awesome is that for Roger Craig to, one, be told by two guys he won rings with, but to get the tournament with them and his family, and obviously finally kind of take the monkey off his back, if you will, of like, you finally get into the Hall of Fame, Roger. So deserving, so happy for him and his family. And also, Niners get to add another Hall of Famer. Last year, it was Patrick Willis. Now it's Roger Craig. Hopefully it's Frank Gore in a couple of years, maybe by next year. Then maybe even Joe Staley can find his way in. But certainly Craig and Gore should be in, which I think could make way for Christian McCaffrey. The Niners could have 3 running backs in the Hall of Fame in the next decade or so, which is really, really cool to see. And I think really awesome for the fan base. And obviously, most fans can kind of hold that up high and say, well, we have 3 running backs and they come from 3 very distinct eras. And maybe Christian McCaffrey can be the second of that group to finally get a Super Bowl trophy. But the clock's ticking on the San Francisco 49ers in this current era of play. You got to get in while you can. Some more bittersweet, kind of maybe not good news, not bad news, kind of just news in general. That is, the San Francisco 49ers are going to be playing in Australia. That's right, Australia in 2026. It'll open the season. So I know in previous years, you've had the Super Bowl champion open the year at home, or at least be the home team somewhere internationally. I think last year, 2 years ago, it was the Eagles against the Packers in Brazil. Now the San Francisco 49ers will travel to Australia in the inaugural Australia games against the Los Angeles Rams. It'll be a 19-plus hour flight across the country. I don't know if they have to go across the Pacific or they're going to go across the rest of the continents to get there. But it's been really cool to see the NFL expand. However, for a Niner fan, one, that's a long flight. Also a massive time change. So there have been conversations of how can we best benefit our players and keep their clock, their internal clock similar or the same? How do we not have this be, a kind of a jet lag factor for the game itself, but also coming back into week 2, 3, and 4? There have been talks of maybe the NFL scheduling that game for a Monday night instead of a Thursday night. So they would get Monday night game, then they get to play, about a week and a half later, 2 weeks later on Sunday. And that could be a solution. But this, I think, will be the opening game of the 2026 NFL season, playing the Rams on the road, which, that's right, you heard me, on the road. That also means that the San Francisco 49ers will not be able to take over Levi's South against the Rams in 2026. Maybe there's a playoff game there, but you wouldn't want that to be the case if you are a Niner fan. You want to host that game come playoff time. So there will be no Levi's South takeover in 2026. But how about an Australian takeover in 2026, which probably is the best lead-in to say when those tickets go on sale. Go to SeatGeek.com and use our promo code 49ersaccess, 49 ERSACCESS at SeatGeek.com, and save yourself $20 off your first purchase. And that's how you do a plug on the show right there. Thank you so much to SeatGeek. It is the best ticketing app out there. And again, save yourself $20 off your first purchase. 19-hour flight to Australia. You want to save a little change in the meantime. Never a bad thing, but I like this. I just hope that for the NFL, they do the right thing, give both teams ample time to rest, ample time to recuperate on top of that, because this is the first time out there. You never really want to be the experimental team, whether it's London or Brazil or Australia. However, going to London, going to Brazil is not as bad as going to, again, a 20-hour flight to Australia. That is a long, long recovery, a long time sitting down, a long time not stretching and whatnot. Obviously, they have their private planes, but again, that's a long time to be in the same airspace with a lot of people and whatnot. So NFL, do your guys right with international games that far away. But we also got more news that this may not be the San Francisco 49ers only international game this year, because Jed York kind of dropped some hints at us that the Niners are, at least right now, set to lose a home game on top of this, meaning that week 1 could be in Australia, but they could very easily be in Mexico City as well in 2026, which they've been there before. I think they were there in 2022 when they got Christian McCaffrey and Jimmy Garoppolo's last game, or one of his last games, because they were rocking. Then Garoppolo got hurt. But I'm sure Niner fans out there in Mexico want to see their team come back to Mexico City, because it was awesome to see. It was a great atmosphere. Tons of Niner fans. And I'm sure for Fred Warner, who, if you watched it a couple of years ago, he's flying the Mexican flag. And it was an awesome kind of sight to see of like, wow, Niner fans, one, are great in their own right, but two, we knew you traveled well, but learning and kind of seeing from my own eyes of like, these people are everywhere. They're in London and they're going to be in Australia, but Mexico City was all red. I think they were playing the Cardinals that game. I think I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. I think it was the Cardinals. Don't know who they're going to play this year in Mexico City, but Niners getting 2 international games in 2026. At least that is the point of, or that is the conversation being had. Should be fun. Space them puppies out, please. Give me a week 1. Give me a week 10. Don't give me a week 1 and a week 5. Make sure there's ample time to recover, but should be fun. Always love the early morning games. My wife hates it because I'm like, honey, football, 6 a.m. And she's like, ugh, all day. And I'm like, hey, look, you get me from 10 a.m., then games at 1 p.m., then you have games at nighttime. You get me from 6 a.m. to about 8 p.m. I'm locked in, loaded, watching football. And she's like, I'm losing my husband for 12 plus hours on Sunday. Can we not do this? And I'm like, honey, you're getting it not once, but maybe twice this year. So it should be pretty fun to see the 49ers play internationally twice in 2026. But let's get to the big stuff, because I have some takeaways, if you'll call it that. Because we had some rumors, some hot cakes, if you will. The hot stove was churning and burning in the Super Bowl lead up Radio Row weeks, because Dante Whitner We all love Dante Whitner. He's an awesome player, or was an awesome player. Keeps it real and honest. He went on his podcast, the Grit Code, I think is what it's called, talking about Deebo Samuel may be coming back to San Francisco. And I was like, okay, that's weird. Why is he bringing it up? Maybe he knows something we don't. I don't know. Obviously, there's a lot of ties between Kyle and Deebo and John Lynch and Deebo and the team and what Deebo's done. Was drafted here, a second-round draft pick in 2019, went to 2 Super Bowls, was an all-pro. We know Deebo Samuel far too well. But then that wasn't the only thing, because when that rumor started, Deebo Samuel being an impending free agent, he can go anywhere he wants to. Chris McCaffrey was asked about this on Up and Adams with Kay Adams, and he offered not an interesting answer, because it's probably one you would expect, but he offered an answer I think kind of made me roll my eyes, and I was like, okay. I wouldn't do this, but to each their own. Chris McCaffrey and Kay Adams, what do you have for us?
You were the leading receiver. I was talking about these catches. Leading receiver last season. Some moves going to have to be made, right? We're talking. There's trade rumors. Obviously, like Deebo is an interesting name that I keep hearing linked back. Would you welcome that? Is that even possible?
Deebo's one of my favorite guys I've ever played with.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I love. We all love Deebo. Our whole staff loves Deebo. All of the players on the team love Deebo. We love Deebo.
But like people like leave. Can you come back? Like, is it? He would be welcome back, open arms. Like that would be great.
I think, yeah. There's no question that he would be welcome.
What do you
back.
miss most about him?
Man, he has such good energy. He's somebody that when the ball's in his hands, you can see a lot of times the fear in defenses, and he's just such a great component, or he was such a great component to our offense, because you can get him the ball in so many different ways, and he's like an enforcer on the offense in ways. He'll run through your face. He can catch the ball. He can run the ball. He can run any route in the route tree. And, if you want to tackle him, it comes with consequences. So he's just a great guy to have on your team, and appreciated the time I got to play with him.
Christian McCaffrey loves Deebo Samuel. The entire Niners staff loves Deebo Samuel. I, in fact, love Deebo Samuel. I'm thankful for his time in San Francisco. He was an amazing player to watch. He was a very different player to watch. Very much changed the game. Shanahan and him, the way they used the wide back role, the way he operated behind the line of scrimmage and screen passes, he kind of carried Jimmy Garoppolo for a lot of his time with the 49ers. And I think, you can salute your cap and tip your cap and say, wow, what a great player, while also saying that time has come and gone. I know these players' relationships with each other don't change, right? Deebo Samuel is not who he is to fans. But let's not forget that Deebo Samuel, at least from a fan perspective, did not end well in San Francisco. 2024 season, you just lost the Super Bowl. Deebo wasn't the same guy. It wasn't as impactful. Maybe it was the hangover. We all know what those feel like, whether it's literally or in the NFL sense. But he wasn't the same guy. Didn't have the same oomph. Chris McCaffrey called him an enforcer, and it's like he wasn't enforcing much. People weren't tucking their chains for Deebo in 2024. His last year with San Francisco. You go late in the year, Dre Greenlaw comes back, Ufunga comes back. Niners are still kind of floating around the playoff picture. They have the Rams at home. It's like, okay, here's the turning point of the year. If you want to salvage a really crappy, 3/5 of the season, this is where things can turn for you. It's raining at Levi's. It's like 6-0 for almost the entire game. If you score once, maybe you win. Maybe, the offense gets going. Purdy puts it right on the money. Going to be a walk-in touchdown. Hits Deebo right in the hands, and he drops it. Then after the game, he complains of kind of the media on Twitter, like, I'm not getting touches. That's the problem. It's not me. It's that my coach, my quarterback aren't getting me the ball. When you look at the stats, he has the most on the entire team. And it's like, what are you talking about, dude? You can't be on social media in the middle of a frustrating kind of lost year complaining about the head coach and the quarterback taking shots. And even if it wasn't read that way in the room itself, from a fan point of view, he was getting demolished by radio, TV, the media, people on social media. It was a bad look for Deebo Samuel. And, I worry that Shanahan, knowing the relationship he has with Deebo, the emotions tied to Deebo, the hindrances at times that came with a too Deebo Samuel centered game plan. And if he got hurt, it was like, we don't know what to do. I almost think if you put Deebo Samuel on this team this year, they don't go to the playoffs, or at least don't win 12 games, because the offense relied too much on Deebo Samuel, too much of the gadget stuff, feeding him. He's a superstar, got to feed Deebo. I think the pressure was off of Kyle in regards to, despite the chaos of backup quarterbacks playing the injuries, like, I don't have to feed Deebo to make him happy. I can feed Pearsall when he's healthy, and Demarcus Robinson, and Kendrick Bourne, and Juwan Jennings. I don't have to feed my superstar, highest paid receiver that will complain on social media if he's not getting his way. And I think, my response to this is, have we not done this before? Have we not been here before? This is like an old, sometimes rekindling your old, high school flame, your old college flame isn't worth it. It's not worth it. Sometimes, oh man, you could think of the good times, but that doesn't mean you want to go back to that person and say, hey, let's do it again. Sometimes you can appreciate your good times and appreciate the memories and the fun times you had, but those should stay in the past for a reason. The Niners, Kyle Shanahan, and the offense, to me, are better without a player like Deebo Samuel in it. And I think it's also important to say Deebo Samuel's 30 years old now. And while there was a uptick in production with the Commanders last year, Terry McLaurin missed some time. Jaden Daniels had missed some time. And he was kind of the de facto number one guy, but going kind of into his stats this past year with the Commanders, it wasn't as good as you'd assume, and really, I think, isn't worth the predictive price tag that'll be next to his name in the open market. Again, he's 30 years old now. He'll be 31, I think, next year in 2000, or maybe, later on this year, but towards the end of this season or the end of 2026, I'll say that. But he had 72 receptions, not bad. 727 yards, also not bad inherently, with 5 touchdowns. I think that would have been second on the team in touchdowns and may have been first with receptions and yards. But then you go kind of deeper into the stats. Deebo's a guy that is supposed to create yards after the catch, be a bruiser, as Christian McCaffrey put it, be an enforcer. Deebo Samuel totaled just 455 yards after the catch in 2025 with the Commanders. That's the 5th lowest of his career. And he only rushed for 75 total yards. So that could be the offense. Sure. Context definitely matters in this case. He doesn't have Kyle Shanahan force feeding him, 10 times a game. But I think, gone are the days of Deebo Samuel's to a bruising archetype. He doesn't separate. San Francisco saw in this playoff run against the Philadelphia Eagles and the Seahawks, but also when Deebo was on the team against the Chiefs, you got to have guys that can separate. Deebo Samuel this year only had 6.3 yards of cushion per reception. That's not good. That's really, really, really bad. He also has not accumulated over 150 rushing yards since 2023. I think if you're looking to bring back Deebo Samuel, you are blinded by nostalgia. There's no reason to bring back Deebo Samuel. There's no reason to want to bring back Deebo Samuel outside of saying, oh, I love Deebo. I have his jersey. Kyle and Deebo have a great relationship. Yeah, run it back. If you run it back with Deebo Samuel and you pay the predictive asking price of $13.3 million per year, and according to Spotrac, his market value is a 2-year, $26.6 million deal. It's idiotic. You'd be losing money on your investments. And San Francisco took all of last year, or I guess this year, this season, 2025, I'll word it that way, to reset the books which included trading away Deebo Samuel's contract. Why would you then, one offseason later, say, yeah, bring him back? We love Deebo. When you're getting an older player, a worse player that's past his prime, can't separate on an offense that needs a younger influx of speed, talent, mobility, and more importantly, the ability to separate. It doesn't make sense. It's not a good move outside of a nostalgia run for Deebo Samuel. If it's a one-year deal under $10 million, okay, fine. We can open the books, have a broader discussion here. But this thought of, we'd love to have Deebo back. We love Deebo Samuel. I love Deebo too. Bringing back a player like him, and really it isn't even Deebo Samuel specific. You could take Deebo's name off of what his production is. If it wasn't Deebo Samuel and it was 72 receptions, under 730 yards, the fifth lowest yak of a player's career, a lack of rushing yardage, which has been kind of his forte during his prime, and a $13.3 million price tag in an offseason where the free agency class could have Christian Kirk and Rashid Shaheed and Wan'Dale Robinson, and more importantly, Alec Pierce. And some of you out there saying, go get A.J. Brown. Why? Like, in the pecking order, Deebo Samuel's like the sixth best guy. You can argue that at this point in time, Jauan Jennings is more valuable to any team than Deebo Samuel. He had more touchdowns this past year. I think he had more receptions. And Jauan can also throw the football in a playoff game. I'm not saying go re-sign Jauan Jennings either if the price tag's too high. I'm more so saying that bringing back Deebo Samuel is an ill-advised move for a franchise trying to get younger, a little bit cheaper, more importantly, more explosive, and have guys that can separate. You already have Demarcus Robinson. You saw it last year with Kendrick Bourne and Jauan Jennings when Pearsall wasn't playing or wasn't healthy, and you couldn't separate. You want to beat the Seattle Seahawks? The answer isn't go get Deebo Samuel. The answer is go find Alex Pierce. Get guys in the draft, Mekhi Lemon, KJ Concepcion, Tyson, other guys that can actually separate. I'm sure there's more in there. It's a deep receiver class. It's a pretty good free agent class for wide receivers. And Deebo Samuel's name is probably like sixth in the free agent class. It's nothing more than name value and nostalgia. No. I love Deebo. I love the 19, the number 1. It means so much. But why would you cut him, trade him, just to bring him back in an offseason where what he offers to you is not what your team needs? It'd be a vibe pick. This team doesn't need a vibe pick. They need a production player. Deebo Samuel's production does not match, 1, the market value of $13.3 million, but 2, doesn't fit what this current iteration of the San Francisco 49ers need. They need the over-the-field, middle-of-the-field separator, the X-wide receiver. Deebo Samuel is none of those things and hasn't been. And really, Christian McCaffrey saying he can run any route in the route tree. No, we can't. No, we can't. We saw it here for a long time. And also, Deebo, again, bittersweet, did not leave the best taste in fans' mouths, despite them liking him a lot. It just didn't end well between him and the fans. The players, the team, I know it's different, but it is a hard pass on me when it comes to re-signing or bringing back, having a reunion with Deebo Samuel. The next conversation we're going to have here, because this is going to keep coming up over and over and over again until something changes. The Las Vegas Raiders. They were in kind of a bind, right? You have Tom Brady at the helm. You fired your head coach, Pete Carroll. All the rumors, the sounds are saying Clint Kubiak's leaving Seattle to come be your next head coach. You have the number 1 pick in the draft, but you have Smith on your roster. It seems like they're going to go pick a quarterback with pick number 1, which makes sense, albeit I wouldn't do that. I'd trade back and get all the picks I could because you have so many holes to fill. But now the talk of the town, like last year was, they're going to trade Maxx Crosby. And I think they should. I think trading Maxx Crosby gets you a couple, high-end picks, whether it's a first and a second and a third, or first, a third, and a player. You want to accumulate draft picks as much as you can, get cheaper, get younger. Your window is not now. You're playing Mahomes and Knicks and Herbert. You kind of want to wait that out to some degree, or at least maybe to capitalize on their back end of their windows and kind of push them down the pecking order as you grow as a team. Got to fix the offensive line, got to fix the defensive line, your linebackers, your secondary. They're a mess, and they're not one player away. So trading Maxx Crosby makes all the sense in the world. That has led to Niner fans and Niner media saying, well, go get Maxx Crosby. And we now know by various reports, Tim Kawakami being the big one, of like, the Niners do love Maxx Crosby. They called last offseason, which shouldn't shock anybody. He's a great player, right? He is a Nick Bosa type player. You'd have the best edge rushing duo in football, probably, unless I'm forgetting somebody else. It'd be that type of potential. However, Maxx Crosby is coming off of another season-ending, season-hindering injury. And you already have Mykel Williams off of that, this past year's first-round draft pick with a torn ACL. Nick Bosa on his third torn ACL. Would you entertain the thought of, yeah, Maxx Crosby, awesome player, a dog under contract. It's perfect. But there's a massive injury risk with acquiring a player like that. And I think San Francisco, a year after re-signing Brock Purdy, re-signing George Kittle, who also is hurt, by the way, re-signing Fred Warner, who got hurt, by the way, this year, and is probably going to have to redo either Christian McCaffrey's deal, Nick Bosa's deal to lower that cap hit, or extend Trent Williams again. Why would you entertain the thought of paying big money to a guy who's inching towards 30, has had 2 serious injuries back-to-back years? I thought we were in the reset, the retool, getting younger and getting an edge rusher and kind of finding the next window. That is not getting Maxx Crosby. Now, look, take risks, right? You want to maximize Bosa and Trent and McCaffrey and Warner and Kittle and Purdy. I get it. A player like Maxx Crosby is not readily available to you every offseason. And you're on the risk of somebody like the Bears, somebody like the Rams, somebody like the Lions, teams that are either entering their window or can capitalize on the last years of their window, like the Rams, or the Lions, who are trying to reopen their window after a pretty down 2025 season. Those teams, to me, have more cap space, the higher-end picks, whereas San Francisco chose to not trade their draft picks this offseason or during the trade deadline because they knew how valuable they were. Now, maybe they're valuable in the sense of we can get Maxx Crosby, but this isn't a player that's 22, 21 with no injury history, with the room to grow. He'd be a bona fide star for sure, but a pricey star, and one that has a lot of injury history, but one that'll give it his all every single time he's out there. And if you're going to go get Maxx Crosby, are you going to trade Bryce Huff? How does that work now? The more the merrier, right? I just don't think San Francisco, one, is as well equipped as teams like, again, the Rams, the Lions, and others, the Bears, to get a player like Maxx Crosby. You got to think it takes 2 to tango. And one, the Niners and Raiders never do deals. Tom Brady probably doesn't want to talk to the 49ers and John Lynch, knowing it's the same regime that kind of spurned him during free agency half a decade ago. But on top of that, if you're the Raiders, why would you want to give the Niners Maxx Crosby in exchange for, let's say, a first-round draft pick? Maybe it's a second-round draft pick and a player, when you know those are going to be late first-round draft picks, late second-round draft picks, and that player, whoever it is, Ricky Pearsall, I don't know, maybe he's great, maybe he's not, I don't know. Whereas the Bears can give you a first-round draft pick and more. They can give you a wide receiver. DJ Moore could be involved in there. Give you a third-round draft pick. They're playing in a really tough division where you can argue, the Lions could be back next year. The Packers are going to be good. And the Vikings, if they go get an actual quarterback, can't be bad forever. They're a really well-coached team. Like that, their first-round draft pick could be less, and what they had to offer could be a little better than what San Francisco could. And of course, the Rams, Matthew Stafford. They have a couple of free agents. They can free up some money, but they want to maximize their window. They have 2 first-round draft picks this year. Why would you not want to make that deal? Go get their Falcons pick this year. That I think is like 17, something like that. Go get that pick. You can have 2 first-round draft picks this year, get you an offensive player, your quarterback and Mendoza. Maybe you can trade guys like Geno and other guys away to help kind of push you into the rebuild category faster and kind of get you, all the picks you need. Whereas San Francisco is like, all we have is a first-round draft pick that really isn't that great and a bunch of unknowns after that. I don't think the Niners have the package, nor do I think really they have the means. I think, like Deebo Samuel, albeit a lesser extent of that, you don't want guys that are 28, nearing 30 that have injury history. You want guys that are 22, 21, out of college, that you believe can turn into superstars. You have Bryce Huff. You saw how good it was when Bryce and Bosa and Michael were healthy. Go add the next star pass rusher in that group that is 21 you can have for cheap for 5 years. Right? Go add the next guy you can have for 4 years. There really is no reason to go out there and sign a guy who has a massive cap hit, has injury history, and there's a future, and this is anybody's future. So you're playing the what if game here, but like when you're injured and you're cut open, the odds you stay healthy for the long haul do lower. Like Bosa, you have 3 ACL injuries, man. The odds are a 4th one could be coming, whether this year, next year, 2 years, who knows? Your odds increase getting re-injured. If you're the 49ers, there's a future where under Bosa and Crosby's contracts, both those guys are out for a long period of time. And you already did that with Bosa and D Ford. You don't want to do it again. I think getting younger is what's important. You already drafted 3 defensive linemen last year. Do it again. I am very pro signing offense, drafting defense. I love Maxx Crosby. Who doesn't love Maxx Crosby? He's not going to be a 49er. They tried for Khalil Mack a couple years ago when they first got the Lynch and Shanahan regime in place. Raiders said, screw off. Why would Tom Brady do the deal? 1, but also 2, why would San Francisco, in the place and time they're at now, trying to find the next core, be like, yeah, we'll trade that potential core for Maxx Crosby, who only helps this current core. I love Maxx Crosby. Awesome player. Sacks, pressures galore. There's cases to be made that he's better than Nick Bosa at times. You'd have the best edge tandem in football. I just don't think San Francisco, for as good as I think they are, for as not far of a way I think they could be, and I'm all for going all in. Draft defense. You have to find that next defensive core. You don't have it yet. You have a couple guys in place you like, but a strong defensive core can do a lot more for you when you can always buy on the offensive side. You have your quarterback in place, but you got to find other dudes on the defense to help replenish a young defense, a new defensive coordinator now in place. Hopefully he's here for at least 2 seasons, fingers crossed, and Raheem Morris, but I don't want Maxx Crosby in San Francisco. Not because he isn't great. Expensive, injured, and only getting older. Get me younger dogs on that defense over a player like Maxx Crosby. And finally, when it comes to the rumors of the Super Bowl week, we have our Mac Jones talk, because today, that being Saturday, Super Bowl Eve, Diana Rossini, the always accurate Diana Rossini, as you can tell, I'm being sarcastic, reported that the San Francisco 49ers right now, which this report is so insane to me. Listen to this. The report was this is me summing things up, so forgive me. But the Niners are not looking to trade Mac Jones at the moment. Who would have thought? You want to know why? Because they can't. They can't anyways. But things could change depending on the offers. Hey, anybody could have made this report up, because it is the biggest no crap Who would have thought that was accurate reporting I've ever heard? They're not thinking of trading Mac Jones right now on February 7th, the day before the Super Bowl, because they check Snopes legally cannot until the new year starts. But then, two, that could change if a good offer comes across the table. Really? Really? You think any team would trade their backup quarterback if an offer's good enough? Diana, I love you. You're kind of good at your job. I respect you, right? But yeah. This is simply posturing. And then she adds, Shanahan really loves the quarterbacking tandem of Brock Purdy and Mac Jones because he won 5 games for them this year. And it's like, yeah, any quarterback would be loved by their head coach if they were a backup and they won 5 games, kept their season alive, and fits the offense to a T. No duh. This is, what do you even make of this? One, we talked plenty of times already about this, but like, I would trade Mac Jones if I got a high-end third-round draft pick you knew was going to be higher than a compensation pick. And look, there really is no promise that Mac Jones even gets you a third-round compensation pick, simply because if you don't play all next year, which, it's likely he does. Purdy's had some health problems the last couple seasons. But if he plays in 2 games, and let's say he plays against, I don't know, just really great defenses and plays bad, that stock goes boo, and explodes and plummets. You don't want that. You have to capitalize on backups playing well when they're blocked by franchise quarterbacks, right? This is a bad example, but it's along the lines of this. Okay, you have your franchise quarterback in place because Tom Brady plays great football. Drew Bledsoe is behind him, and you're like, well, Drew's never going to play, and if he does play, we're kind of screwed anyways. Let's trade him. We can go improve the team on defense. We can get more draft picks or get a cornerback or get a receiver. I don't know. You can get something else to help improve your team elsewhere. Because you can find backup quarterbacks a lot of places, and I wouldn't be shocked if Zach Wilson's in San Francisco, or they draft a quarterback, or Curtis Rourke, who fits the offense perfectly, but didn't play past year because of an injury, is not the de facto QB2. I digress. Trading Mac Jones for a 3rd-round draft pick or a 2nd-round draft pick, if you get lucky, maybe not, that's pretty high, but if you get lucky, and say a quarterback-needy team is like, hey, we don't like any of these guys. We liked Mendoza, and that was it. Whether it's the Vikings, whether it's the Jets, whether it's somebody else, if you can move Mac Jones in some kind of deal for something higher than at least a 4th-round draft pick, and that is a late 4th-round draft pick because of the draft pick compensation formula, you want either a high-end 4th or a high-end 3rd. If you get lucky, a 2nd, you say yes in a heartbeat, and you drive Mac Jones to the airport himself, because you're not going to get that on the open market. If Mac Jones was a free agent today, he'd be the best quarterback out there, not named Mendoza. And right now, everybody but the Raiders, unless the trade happens, which probably isn't going to be done, knows that's the golden ticket. Maybe it's Malik Willis, Mac Jones. Those are the 2 guys. And if you're the Niners, you capitalize on that. It's like watching a stock skyrocket and being like, nope, I'm going to sit on it. No, as soon as that stock goes all the way up and reaches heights you're like, I never saw this coming, you sell to make your money back and get more in return. The NFL, players, free agency trades, it's all stocks, baby. That's all it is. The Niners invested on Mac Jones, a 2-year contract for a reason, knowing that, hey, if he plays, this could work. This is all posturing. And also, you can make this up. The Niners don't want to trade Mac Jones right now, but if they get a great offer, things could change. Yeah, and if my dog were black, he wouldn't be white. Like, what? If my wife came to me and said, hey, honey, we're going to have chicken tonight. And I was like, I don't even want chicken. But then things change. Hey, we're going to have steak. Okay. Okay, I like chicken, but you offer me steak, we're having a whole different conversation. Potatoes and sweet potatoes and some broccoli and some onions and salad. Okay, now I'm in. This is a nothing burger of a report from a reporter that at times just makes stuff up. But more importantly here, in regards to the 49ers, you'd be dumb. You'd be dumb to say, yeah, we're going to sell Mac Jones. We want to trade him. No, you don't. Because guess what? If you do that, you lose all your negotiation power. Once you're eager to do something, to move a player, people know, we got you. You're a sucker. There's a reason why the Eagles have not said we're going to trade A.J. Brown. They're probably going to trade A.J. Brown. Who knows? But it'd be dumb to say, yeah, we're looking to trade A.J. You want to know why? An offer that could be a first-round draft pick or a second-round draft pick becomes a fourth-round draft pick or a fifth-round draft pick, knowing that you are eager to move him. You ever watch Pawn Stars? They never give you the best offer first. Want to know why? Negotiation power. That's all this is. But if you get a third-round draft pick or a second-round draft pick, pull the trigger. Now, I think Mac Jones is valuable to San Francisco. It has to be worth the squeeze. If you got oranges and you squeeze them and they ain't good and there's no juice out of them, okay, don't do it. But if you got oranges that are plump and juicy and thick and girthy, it's got some girthy oranges, you squeeze them suckers till they're dry to get the orange juice out of it. For San Francisco, you get a good offer, you take it. You take it in a heartbeat. Second round draft pick, high end third. Do it tomorrow. You're not getting that for Mac Jones when he's a free agent. And you don't watch your stock go all the way up and then sit on it and say, I hope it stays there, knowing you don't have any knowledge of what could happen tomorrow. So, yeah, they're not going to say they're trading him now, but they're going to trade him. They should trade him. You can love a player. They love Deebo Samuel. They realized if we don't trade him now, we're not going to save money, and his stock may get lower and lower and lower. He ain't getting no big deal in free agency. Yikes. Let's get a fifth-round draft pick in return. They were right to do that. They were right. But let's move on to our final topic. Tell me down below, though. Do you want to bring Deebo Samuel back? Do you want Maxx Crosby in San Francisco? No matter what, would you make that trade? And more importantly, would you trade Mac Jones? And what do you think of the NRC News report of they're not trading him now, but they could? Really? But let's get to our final topic of the day, of the Super Bowl Eve episode of the 49er Access podcast. If you guys could like, share, and subscribe to the show on the audio podcasting platforms, leave us that 5-star audio podcast review. And let's hear Jed York talking about the electrical substation talk. I don't love this conversation, but that's not why we're listening to it. I think it's because the way the 49ers have operated in recent weeks, it kind of seems like they're blowing off a lot of it, or at least we'll look into it, but the severity of it, and York himself in this video is kind of like, it's not a big deal. But watch and listen to what he says about John Lynch, the San Francisco 49ers GM. That was pretty interesting. Once again, on Up and Adams with Kay Adams, live on Radio Row. Jed York, what do you got?
But the substation, right? Like the people were talking about injuries.
Yeah.
That's been there since
Oh,
1987.
we're going there, Jed? Okay.
That's been there since 1987. Jerry Rice was there.
Yeah.
It didn't seem to affect Jerry Rice. It seems like Jerry Rice can still play today. I don't believe that's something that is a real
everyone's
issue.
being asked about it.
I am sure.
Lynch, you.
He don't believe in it. He's like, look, Jerry was there in 87 and it didn't affect him. It's gotten bigger since then. Now, again, I'm not someone that believes in the EMF reports and everything, but you look into it because you want guys to have all the information possible. It's better to be over-informed than less informed. As a country, we should know that by now on a lot of things. But there were reports, I think, by Kendrick Bourne, who was like, they don't even water that side of the field. the grass is dead. I've been there. It is dead. And I know it's hot in Santa Clara and everything, but they don't even water that side of the field. Want to know why? It can cause problems. Maybe there is something to it. I'm not saying move the facility. Maybe you do what you can. I don't know what the substation is even there for, so forgive me for that lack of knowledge, but this isn't 1987. And look, some guys doesn't even affect them. Maybe it didn't affect Christian McCaffrey. Maybe it didn't affect Fred Warner. Some guys don't miss time. Colton McKivitz is never hurt. A lot of guys are never hurt. But when you have the record for hamstring strains and calf issues and quad issues and soft tissue injuries, it can affect people mentally, at least, of like, I'm scared. I'm really scared. But Kay Adams, Jed York, take it away again for us here on the show.
That is a real
everyone's
issue.
being asked about it.
I am sure.
Lynch, you, I'm sure. Fred Warner was asked about it yesterday. Is there like due diligence being done? Have you researched it, or is it?
We'll look into it, but we've been there since 1987 next to the substation, and this is the first time that somebody has brought it up. It's not like it happened last season. Jerry Rice seemed to be pretty healthy during his career. Like, all those guys seem to be pretty healthy during their career. I think we can debunk it.
It's too pragmatic, Jed.
Yeah.
Too this like critical thinking.
Can't do that.
Well, but then it begs the question, what do we do? What's the next step on it? John Lynch said it yesterday. Your amazing GM said we have to, what did he say? We have to have a plan, like the next few steps. We have like, what are the next things to check off the list of like why this? I mean what I said, Jed. You're healthy, you're in the Super Bowl. You're not, you're not. This team specifically.
Did you say that specifically to John?
No, I didn't see John.
You should. All right.
But you know what?
Did you catch that one? Did you catch that? She said, if you're healthy, you're in the Super Bowl. If you're healthy, you're in the Super Bowl. That means Bosa's healthy, Michael's healthy. If your pass rush in place, Fred Warner's healthy, Ricky Pearsall's healthy, George Kittle, who got hurt in the playoffs, maybe he's healthy, probably not, but maybe he's healthy, who knows? You're in the Super Bowl. And he said, you tell John Lynch that? She said, no. He goes, well, maybe you should. What does that tell you? The owner of the San Francisco 49ers, Jed York, who himself doesn't really buy into the substation stuff, when pressed and being told, hey, buddy, if you're healthy, you're going to the Super Bowl right now at your home stadium, which obviously is an over-exaggeration, but still, your odds of going skyrocket, obviously. The Seahawks are primarily healthy. The Patriots are primarily healthy. The Rams were primarily healthy. The Broncos were until Bo Nix broke his ankle or whatever it was, broke his foot. But my point is, when pressed, what did he do? Tell John Lynch that. Clearly, this has been a conversation behind the scenes, at least not of the EMF substation stuff, but of the injury conversation. We got to get healthier. We're always injured. What's the problem? Jed's like, well, I'm not the person to talk to. It's John Lynch. I'm the one that, I don't believe in the substation stuff, but I do take the injury seriously. Because I know if I want as an owner, my return on the investment, winning football games is my business. Being in the Super Bowl in front of my home crowd at Levi Stadium makes me richer, makes me get money, makes me not have to face the media of why do we keep losing Super Bowls? You haven't won a Super Bowl. You lost 2 with Kyle and John. You lost 1 with Harbaugh. You have Eddie D a couple weeks ago being like, I wouldn't have lost 31 straight years. I would have won one by now. That pressure's off your back if you continue to go because it gives you a higher chance of winning. And being healthy helps you go to the Super Bowl. And Jed being a businessman that maybe at times doesn't always value winning, but he values money, and winning equals money, is telling John, is telling the media, I ain't the point person here. It ain't me to look to. I care about the injuries. That's costing me money. We're losing Brandon Ayuk. We're losing Nick Bosa. Money I'm forking over in guarantees that I'm seeing no return on. That's my money. It's my guarantees. It's my incentive stuff. It's money out of my pocket I'm investing, and all these guys are getting hurt. I'm tired of doing that. I just watched Ayuk get hurt and then quit on the team. I don't want to do that. What was his response, though? Did you tell John that? Maybe you should. Clearly, at least in my opinion, Jed York is outing John Lynch as a compromised part of the front office. For all the good John has done, accumulating talent, for all the bad he's done, of missing draft picks and having failed signings. The one stain amongst the many on the resume of John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan is the injuries that San Francisco has suffered from. And it's not just them. You can go back a decade with John Harbaugh and all those guys too. But because you're in an active window of winning and you're losing guys left and right, Jacob Cowling, 4 hamstring strains, lost his entire sophomore campaign because he couldn't get healthy from a hamstring injury that happened in training camp and OTAs and before the year even started. Yetur Gross-Matos had a hamstring strain, came back the very next day, hurt his hamstring again. It cost dudes all year. Isaac Rendo, who couldn't play much this year at all, has hamstring problems dating back to college at Louisville. He's in the worst possible place for him. And it's not because of the EMF substation thing. Maybe it is 1%. Who knows? It comes back to the staff you have in place. Who puts the staff together? John Lynch, the president of football operations. This is Jed quietly but loudly saying, I've talked to John. I've talked to Kyle, but I've talked to John. He don't think it's a problem. He doesn't think, and you go back to his post-season, wrap up of the year press conference, and John flippantly was like, yeah, the injuries aren't that big of a thing. Football, this, and the other. It was kind of like disregarding the problem. That's not what you want when you lead the NFL in injuries for like half a decade straight. That may have cost you a Super Bowl, Super Bowls, a chance at getting to the playoffs, all of that. If winning is the most important thing, by your GM and by your head coach, you want them taking injuries importantly. That was a poorly worded sentence. You get my point. You want them leaving no stone unturned of how to gain the advantage over the opponent. Whether it's sending guys to their own trainers, sending guys to their own doctors, your head of training has been on your staff since 2017. When you redid your staff, you took the guy and you promoted him. And you've watched the way things have transpired since. Guys get injured, they return, they have the same injury over and over again. It isn't everybody, but it happens too often and too much to ignore it. Jed is calling out John Lynch in this video. We'll play it again. We'll play it again for you here on the show in case you missed it, in case you're like, Sterling, what are you talking about? I didn't get that. Listen to it closely.
You're healthy, you're in the Super Bowl. You're not. This team specifically.
Did you say that specifically to John?
No, I didn't see John.
You should. All right.
But you know what I mean?
It's right there. That is not an owner that is agreeing with the GM. That's not an owner that's like, oh, the injuries aren't a big thing. No, this is clearly somebody who's like, I talked to him. He won't listen to me. He doesn't agree with me. I don't know what to do. Jed, I don't often say this. Step in, buddy. You stepped in last offseason when the team overspent. You said, hey, look, the guarantees, it's too much. We've got to trade Deebo. We've got to cut some fat at the roster. We can't afford Ufunga. We can't afford Dre Greenlaw. We got to take a step back. We got to cut the fat out the roster, get younger, retool. We got to take a step back, reset, then go all in again. We have to have a money resetting year, if you will. They did that because Jed and Parag stepped in, kind of tightened that collar, that leash on John and Kyle and said, hey, you don't get to spend that much this offseason. So you better be really particular in who you spend with. Shout out Luke Farrell for that one. What a terrible signing, but that isn't the point here. The point is, Jed and Parag stepped in and said, you guys have overspent. It hasn't paid off. We got to change something. Do it again, Jed. I don't like owners being all handsy. That sounded awkward. I don't like it either way. I don't want Woody Johnson. I don't want these owners that have their hands and fingertips and everything, and you're just like, oh, you're suffocating the regime. He did that once with Jim Harbaugh. I don't want that again. What I do want is an owner that says, look, enough's enough, man. I'm not going to fire you, but you clearly have a blind spot to this, and we have to do something. Because I believe in John. I believe in Kyle. Jed, the same message here. I believe in John. I believe in you, Kyle. You guys are a good GM and a good head coaching combination. One of the tops in football, at least from the head coaching perspective. We have to figure this stuff out. Jed York right there. Open, honest, tell John that. Because I've tried to. Okay, Jed, you've tried to. Now it's time to make a statement. Step in. You don't have to overstep. You don't have to, be a jerk about it. But you stepped in last offseason to reset your books. Step in this offseason and say, hey, let's look at the substation. Let's look at the injury stuff because it's getting too much. Drop your comments down below. What do you think about Jed York calling out John Lynch live on Radio Row on live television? And don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Leave us that 5-star audio podcast review. And as always, my name is Sterling Bennett. Enjoy the Super Bowl. We'll see you next week, and go Patriots. And until next time, stay faithful.